Hi guys, in our last video we talked about conditional formatting and we were able to change the cell that the answer was in. We changed the color of that cell. In this video we're going to actually do something in a different cell. So we're going to check the answer to see if it's right, and if it is, we're going to have a letter pop up in the cell next to it. Okay? So here's how you do that. You're going to double click in the cell you want the letter to pop up in, and we're going to say equals, because we always start formulas with equals. And we're going to start with if, and an open parentheses, and then we're going to tell it which cell to check. So we want it to look at C2, and we want to see if C2 is equal to 4. All right, so we're giving it the condition to check. Check cell C2, see if it equals 4. Then we put a comma, and then we're going to put what we want it to return if it does, in fact, meet that condition. So if it does, I want it to put the letter T in this cell. So I'm going to put that in there. And then I'm going to put a comma. And then if it does not meet the condition, I want it to leave it blank. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put 2 quotes, and I'll leave that completely empty between the 2 quotes. And then I'm going to close my parentheses and hit return. So it's going to check now to see if my answer is 4. And if it is, it's going to give me a T. If it's not, it will not give me anything. Okay? So that is kind of the simplest level of formula that you could create here. Now, I have gone ahead and put the rest of these formulas already in for the rest of the answers. Okay, so you can see if we did 4, 8, 8, right, 6, 8, 10, 12, and of course 14, then all of them would reveal a letter. Okay, and I haven't done this last one on purpose because I want something, well, I guess I erased it. Okay, so I want something to happen though if all of these letters are correct. If all the letters show up, I want something magical to pop up down here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to merge those cells, I think. And I want it to pop up with a message if everything is correct. Now there's 2 ways to do this. I could have the sheet check this column and check the answers, or I could have it check this column and check that the letters are there. Either one is going to indicate that the student has all the right answers, right? So I prefer to use this column just because if they're clicking around on the sheet and they accidentally double click on something, I don't want them to get all the correct answers in a whole list. So that's just me. So I'm going to go ahead and put a formula in here, and I'm actually going to copy and paste it from somewhere else, just because it takes a long time to type. But you can see what it looks like. So the formula that I'm going to use says if, and then it has an and, because I'm checking multiple cells conditions. So if D2 is equal to T, D3 is equal to A, D4 is equal to R, D5 is equal to P, D6 is equal to O, and D7 is equal to R, then it's going to tell me to rearrange your letters to find the word you need. And if all of those things are not true, it's going to leave it blank. So that's what this formula says. All right, so I can undo this, and you can see that it did indeed pop up. And if I were to delete one of those, it would go away. And as soon as I put the right answer in, it pops up again. All right? So the next step you could take with this, because I'll tell you something, these rearranging letters clues are so hard. And some students find this really, really difficult. So I like to give them a little bit of a nudge on what this is supposed to spell. It looks really obvious to me because I wrote it, but it may not be obvious to everybody. So I'm going to give them another clue. I'm actually going to put a hyperlink in here and link this sentence to a video. Okay, so the way that I do that is I come in here and I say hyperlink, and I open parentheses. Now remember, whenever I open parentheses, I'm going to have to close parentheses. And I'm going to go ahead and put that in here, just so I remember. Okay? And then inside the parentheses, I'm going to put the link that I want to use. And it's going to be in quotation marks. Okay? So this is the link I'm going to send it to. And I put quotation marks, and then I put a comma, and then I put the text that I want it to display as the hyperlink. All right, so we're getting a little bit more complicated with our formulas. All right, and now I'm just going to hit enter. Now, when this pops up, and again, it still works the same way. When this pops up, now we have a link that we could go to a video. All right. Now, another thing I want to mention, and I'm going to show you what this looks like when it's completely all formatted and done, is you can change this formatting and dress this up a little bit and make it pretty. All right. So, for example, you know, I had merged these things. If I'm a kid and I go in here, I might notice that this is merged, and then I might check it out. And I don't want them to be doing that. I don't want them to be looking at this in particular. Okay, so a lot of times what I'll do is I'll take some of these extra cells and I will fill them with black, because black hides all the lines. And so a lot of times what I'll do is I'll just, you know, put some stuff around here and make this black. Now, along with that, I might also take these cells and make them black. But that's a problem, because I don't want them to know that these letters are going to pop up necessarily right away. But that can be a problem if this pops up and the letter pops up and it's black. Now we can't see it. So now we can remember our conditional formatting. How about that? So let's take these cells and let's do all of them at once, and we're going to do some conditional formatting on it. And we're going to say, okay, if those cells are not empty, let's make them green. Okay? And so what will happen is it'll look like it's black, but if we start entering our answers, then they'll show up. Okay? Now that's a link, so it showed up because it had turned the letters blue. But this cell we might want to also do a little condition on. Let's just check that. And what'll happen is they won't know that that's going to pop up at all until that final correct answer is in, and then they get this link. All right. So I like to do that a lot. I also like to delete the extra columns and things that I don't need. I'll use some extra ones. I'll leave them in there and I'll make them black just to make it a little harder for students to figure out where things are going to pop up. And I like to add some pictures, but I do like to delete. You can delete all the extra columns and all the extra rows. And it just, I think it just makes it easier to focus on what you need. So if you right click here, you can say delete those columns altogether. And same thing down, although it takes a lot longer to do the rows because there's a lot more rows. Okay, so do you want to see what this looks like when it's all done? It looks something like this. So here's one that I made. This is the same kind of answers. This is a more elaborate math problem set. But when they got all of the letters in, it popped up with the message here at the bottom, and this is a link. Now, like I said, I like to give them clues, so I put the picture here. That's a clue. And then if they follow the video This goes to a video of dancing parrots that says, bird is the word. Okay, so that's how you can use some basic formulas to kind of make something a little bit more complex in Google Sheets that you can use as a digital breakout clue. Now I'm going to do another video, and I'm going to start talking about how to hide this a little bit and get a little bit more tricky and some of the more advanced things that you can do.